Hello, welcome to the demo for Nastel Technologies AutoPilot. My name is Charlie Rich. Nastel is the leader in application performance management across distributed and mainframe tiers for over 15 years. Why? Well, because we provide three important things: visibility, prediction, and performance. Real-time 360-degree situational awareness of your apps, middleware, and your transactions. Why is that important? Because this can help you reduce risk by providing transparency and maximize the service you can deliver to your customers. Prediction: instantly know when your apps and transactions are beginning to veer from that state we call business normal to business abnormal. Take action before it hurts. And finally, performance: ensure peak performance and availability for your business applications and transactions, and do it at a lower cost and with less impact to your staff and customers. So let's look at a real-life customer scenario in financial services middle office. So this is right after the trade is made. This is called validation and enrichment. So validating that the information in the trade is correct and adding additional information about the user. We are running WebSphere, we're running Message Broker, and the process is trade entry, validation, auditing, customer information, and tracking. So what's the problem here? Well, the customer scenario is this. Exactly what happened after the trade? We seem to have a disagreement. IT says it's done, but the customer says, I haven't heard anything. What happened to my order? And that's order 1234, a whole lot of zeros and one. So the business has a problem, and that they don't have the visibility they need. So what did they do to remediate it? They did what a lot of firms do. We jokingly refer to this as the blame game. They brought everybody into a room, locked the door, had a session that went on for 8 hours. This included the network folks, the web servers folks, app server people, database development, just about everyone. And everyone said it's not our problem. You know, they're particularly had a silo approach, as many firms do. This thing eventually, somebody would wear out and end up with the responsibility to resolve the problem. But this is no way, as they say, to run a railroad. It's just too expensive, too costly, and the results were the opposite of what they expected. Service to customers actually went down. So they brought in AutoPilot for its visibility and situational awareness and began to remove the blame game. So digging in a little deeper, we see that IT said validation and enrichment transactions are regularly exceeding their SLAs. Okay, but we don't have any visibility as to which IT transactions are associated with a business trade ID. We see Java, we see JDBC, we see messages. We don't know what trade that is. So how do we resolve this? Looking a little further, we find out that the trade ID is stored in the packet inside the middleware message. So they needed improvement in visibility in order to do this, deep visibility, so that they could deliver a complete understanding of what happened, not only from the IT perspective, but from the customer's perspective of the trade, and have both of those be completely in sync. So let's look at our message payload. We see here our middleware messaging, and these message packets have the trade ID, as I said, embedded in them. AutoPilot goes out, extracts the trade ID from the middleware packets, and I know this is kind of fine print here. Let's make it a little bigger. We'll look at the XML here, and we see the trade ID is 1234, a whole lot of zeros and one. AutoPilot will take that information, feed it to its complex event processing engine, which is very busy here, and we'll use this to stitch together the transactions, our understanding of the trade ID. All right, let's go look at this in action here. AutoPilot is set up and will automatically discover your transaction topology and the applications that invoke them. So first off, here we have our WebSphere application server. Here we've discovered WebSphere MQ, the mainframe running Zeos, and Kix running on top of Zeos. Automatically, AutoPilot will discover that the trade audit application has caused the SLA to be breached. Let's go into detail and see how that worked. And by the way, notice we're also keeping track of operational data here and that we're completely pegged. So you can see a rolling real-time graph showing a bottleneck for trade audit. So if we look at this, we can go in and do a search for trade 1, 2, 3, 4, a whole lot of zeros and 1. Let's do that. We'll search, we'll see its state. Let's drill into the details to understand why this has happened. Why did it miss its SLA? We'll start off first with the HTTP request and then follow its interdependencies. So here we have our HTTP post, trade entry. What happens next? Looks like we have a JMS call, Q sender send. This goes off to message broker, and that's going to be automatically stitched to the HTTP request. And then we have, after the JMS call, stitched to that is a WebSphere MQ mget, as you can see. But look at this. Its elapsed time was 4 seconds. This is where the SLA breach occurred. And if we continue on, we see that after passing through WebSphere MQ, the application initiated a transaction in CICS on the mainframe. And you can see the start BR customer info. Let's do the return trip. And we went back from the transaction, went from CICS to message broker. Then the next step, it's going to go back using an MQ input. This is through JMS, back to the application server, WebSphere app server. So let's take an understanding of this bottleneck we saw that led to the SLA violation or breach on trade audit. We'll go back to that real-time rolling graph we saw here, and we're looking at validation and enrichment governance. So this is in effect the status of our trade audit policy. And you can see we're completely pegged here. We're in the state we referred to earlier as business abnormal. We're looking at the trade audit impact queue. And thus we have our root cause. Trade ID, 1, 2, 3, 4, a whole lot of zeros and ones, was caught up in a failure in order processing due to a bottleneck on the trade audit input queue. So why Nastel? Well, we've been labeled by Gartner in their Magic Quadrant on Application Performance Management as a visionary. We were praised for deep expertise in WMQ and Java Enterprise Edition, J2EE, technical sophistication, code excellence. We support all 5 dimensions of the Gartner model. 15 years of deep middleware messaging expertise. Why is that important? Because the visibility that gives you, we believe, is the key to unlocking business transaction performance. Visibility, 360-degree situational awareness, both operational and transactional. What happened and why it happened, correlated together in a business context across both distributed and mainframe tiers. Doing it predictively, remember, act, not reacting. Find those problems and resolve them before they hurt. And performance, uncover the bottlenecks to maximize performance. And we have a successful track record of delivering all of the above. So if this was helpful or interesting to you, please feel free to contact me, crich@nastel.com, or visit us at our website, www.nastel.com. You can find us on Twitter or LinkedIn, and we'd be glad to offer you an assessment and show you how Nastel AutoPilot can help your environment to reduce your costs, improve service, and manage risk. If you're interested, please feel free to contact me to arrange this. And thank you for watching.